Hey y'all, welcome as we continue through the book of Ecclesiastes together. Today we are going to be moving into Ecclesiastes chapter 2. In Solomon's quest for the good life.
Now you're going to mention my shirt?
What about your
Well,
shirt?
last chapter we ended on such a downer. I was talking about Empire Strikes Back, so I thought I'd wear a Star Wars shirt.
Okay, well, good choice. Hey, well, on that
Continue,
note,
please.
in chapter 2 of Ecclesiastes, in Solomon's quest for the good life, he examined everything from the majestic to the ridiculous. He experimented with one thing after another, always applying the wisdom of God that God had given him. Solomon is seeking the meaning of life under the sun anywhere he can look and under anything he can come up with, and he ends up coming up empty. We have to go beyond the sun to the sun to find true lasting meaning in life. Jesus is the meaning of life, and he gives us purpose and reason in this life under the sun and into eternity. At the end of the previous chapter, as Joe mentioned,
It's a little downer. A little bit of a downer.
Solomon determined
Everything was meaningless.
everything was meaningless, and Solomon determined that he knew too much. In this chapter, Solomon offers some examples if we are interested in hearing them. He tested his own heart to see how he would respond to both enjoyment and employment. He records 3 stages or roads in his experiments as he searches for a satisfying meaning to life. He records how he tested life, ended up hating life, and finally accepted life. In his test of life, he ran down the road of pleasure, the road of wisdom, and the road of work. And then he wrote the results of what he found in each of these roads in this book. He could have presented his thoughts and concerns in the previous chapter and may have been met with people telling him to relax, grab a beer, it's going to be okay. Eat, drink, and be merry.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to make sense. Just have a good time with your buddies and enjoy it all. He responded with, got it. And that's where we pick up in chapter 2, as we'll go ahead and start in verse 1.
I said to myself, come on, let's try pleasure. Let's look for the good things in life. But I found that this too was meaningless. So I said, laughter is silly. What good does it do to seek pleasure? After much thought, I decided to cheer myself with wine, and while still seeking wisdom, I clutched at foolishness. In this way, I tried to experience the only happiness most people find during their brief life in this world. I also tried to find meaning by building huge homes for myself and by planting beautiful vineyards. I made gardens and parks, filling them with all kinds of fruit trees. I built reservoirs to collect the water to irrigate my many flourishing groves. I bought slaves, both men and women, and others who were born into my household. I also owned large herds and flocks, more than any other kings who had lived in Jerusalem before me. I collected great sums of silver and gold, the treasure of many kings and provinces. I hired wonderful singers, both men and women, and had many beautiful concubines. I had everything a man could desire. So I became greater than all those that lived in Jerusalem before me, and my wisdom never failed me. Anything I wanted, I would take. I denied myself no pleasure. I even found great pleasure in hard work, a reward for all my labors. But as I looked at everything I had worked so hard to accomplish, it was all so meaningless, like chasing the wind. There was nothing really worthwhile anywhere. He's still a bummer.
The Hebrew people in these times believed that God made mankind to enjoy the blessings of his creation, which is still true today. The harvest season was a joyful time for them as they reaped the blessings from God for their labors. Spoiler alert, at the conclusion of this book, Solomon will actually encourage his readers to enjoy God's blessings during the years of their youth, before old age arrives and their bodies begin to fall apart. Solomon
I
didn't.
don't know how you looked at me when you were saying that. I'm in my prime.
Yeah. Solomon didn't believe God was a God who watched closely to make sure nobody was having a good time on this earth. He is not an angry judge ready at all times to just slam down his gavel on our lives.
Or pick us out and hit us with thunderbolts.
No, he died for us. He loves us. Solomon continued explaining his personal experiments and observations as he explored the meaninglessness of life under the sun. This section begins his life experiences related to pleasure as he continues to seek for the meaning of life. If YOLO is a philosophy, Solomon responds to YOLO with, "Watch me, I'm about to do it." Solomon got hammered and then he took notes about it. Solomon had the means and the authority to do just about anything his heart desired. He had all the wealth and resources he could want. In this test, he decides to party hard and see what happens. He ultimately concluded that pleasure produces no lasting satisfaction either.
Mhm.
It may be that it temporarily relieves grief or boredom, but it doesn't produce anything permanent and ultimately satisfying, and it just brings more trouble into your life. The pursuit of pleasure only leads to a pounding headache and a hollow life. If you have ever been a designated driver for a drunk friend, you quickly realize that drunk people think they are funnier than they truly are.
Again, looking at me again.
Solomon specifically mentioned wine and laughter as two sources of pleasure used in his experiment. When the party was over, it still left him dissatisfied and empty and feeling physically awful.
Hmm.
Pleasure is another vanity that is comparable to a soap bubble that bursts, leaving nothing behind. Today's world is pleasure mad. Millions of people will pay nearly any amount of money to buy experiences and temporarily escape the burdens of life.
Is that called what is it? Dopamine. Dopamine
Dopamine,
hit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Very good. There is nothing wrong with innocent fun, just to be clear. God wants us to enjoy his creation. However, when a person builds their lives on seeking pleasure, they will end up being vastly disappointed in the end. Consumerism is built on humankind's quest for pleasure through possessions and experience. It is the dominant ideology of our current age.
Yep.
Seek pleasure when we really should be seeking Jesus.
Just get that next dopamine hit.
It doesn't last, but
Nope.
Jesus does.
Yes.
Solomon pursued every pleasure available. He writes of moments when he felt flashes of happiness, but it vanished quickly. He felt he was striving after the wind. He couldn't make it stay. He went after everything he could, and he found that nothing lasted. Solomon wasn't just battling the fear of meaninglessness, he was also battling disappointment in his successes.
Hmm.
None of his successes or abundance brought him true satisfaction. Study after study in today's world confirms an extreme weak correlation between wealth and contentment. The more prosperous and successful society seems, the more common depression becomes. The more stuff we have, the sadder we become. Pleasure seeking is built around selfishness, and selfishness destroys true joy. People who live for pleasure often have no issues with exploiting others to get what they want. They end up broken in broken relationships, and they end up having empty hearts. People are more important than things and thrills in life. We are created to be channels, not reservoirs. The greatest joys come when we share God's creation and the pleasures within it with others. If we live for pleasures alone, enjoyment will continually decrease unless the intensity of the pleasure continually increases. You reach a point of diminishing returns when there is little or no enjoyment at all. Only bondage remains. The more people drink, the less enjoyment they get out of it, and it takes more and more and more to get that high that they are seeking. The result is desire without satisfaction. The same goes for drugs, gambling, sex, money, fame, or any other selfish pursuit of humankind. When pleasure alone is the center of life, the result will be disappointment and emptiness always. Solomon didn't just seek pleasure in alcohol. He tried to fill his life with wine and women and songs. Concubine is a crude word for a woman that is used primarily for pleasure alone. Solomon not only collected 700 wives for himself through all his political dealings, but he also had 300 concubines. He pursued anything and everything that he could in the grandest way possible, and he had the means and the resources to do it all. Pleasure appeals only to a part of a person and ignores the total being, the total human experience. That's the major difference between shallow entertainment and true enjoyment. When the whole person is involved, there will be both enjoyment and enrichment. Entertainment has its place, but we need to keep in mind that it only helps us escape life temporarily. True pleasure not only brings delight, but it also builds character by enriching the total human experience. And that's what Jesus does for us. Solomon moved past alcohol and got involved with all kinds of projects, hoping to discover something that would make life worth living. He started with things like houses and cities and gardens and vineyards and orchards and forests and the water systems that were needed to service all of these things. Solomon also supervised the construction of the temple, one of the greatest buildings of the ancient world. He moved from the lust of the flesh to the lust of the eye, and will tie it all in with a neat little bow with the pride of life. He decided if one who dies with the most toys wins, he would get himself some toys.
Mhm.
Solomon tried to build himself an Eden, a garden of delight. He tried to build himself a paradise to make him happy with things, but it didn't work.
Nope.
Solomon included wealth in flocks and herds as well as gold and silver. He was a man with incredible wisdom and wealth, yet he still felt like there was something missing. He realized in life that wealth and wisdom don't bring lasting pleasure. With all his resources at his fingertips, he searched. There is joy in doing things and building great projects, but what happens when the task is finished?
Hmm.
Then you're just done.
Yep.
Solomon wasn't condemning work. We do need to work. Work in and of itself is a blessing. Adam was created and then was given work to do even before he sinned. Throughout the book of Proverbs, Solomon exalts diligence and condemns laziness. Honest employment can and should be done to the glory of God. However, work alone cannot satisfy or fulfill the human heart, no matter how successful that work is. Trying to escape life or ourselves by becoming workaholics will only result in disappointment as well.
Hmm.
And we'll continue in verse 12.
So I decided to compare wisdom with foolishness and madness, for who can do this better than I, the king? I thought, wisdom is better than foolishness, just as light is better than darkness. For the wise can see where they are going, but fools walk in the dark. Yet I saw that the wise and the foolish share the same fate. Both will die. So I said to myself, since I will end up the same as the fool, what's the value of all my wisdom? This is all so meaningless. For the wise and the foolish both die. The wise will not be remembered any longer than the fool. In the days to come, both will be forgotten. So I came to hate life, because everything done here under the sun is so troubling. Everything is meaningless, like chasing the wind. I came to hate all my hard work here on earth, for I must leave to others everything I have earned. And who can tell whether my successors will be wise or foolish? Yet they will control everything I have gained by my skill and hard work under the sun. How meaningless! So I gave up in despair, questioning the value of all my hard work in this world. Some people work wisely with knowledge and skill, then must leave the fruit of their efforts to someone who hasn't worked for it. This too is meaningless, a great tragedy. So what do people get in this life for all their hard work and anxiety? Their days of labor are filled with pain and grief. Even at night, their minds cannot rest. It is all meaningless. A lot of meaningless.
This is again why we cannot take this book out of context. As far as pleasure is concerned, at some point the party ends. You wake up sober and you don't like how you feel. And that's where Solomon picks up in these verses as he leaves behind the contemplation of pleasure and wealth and moves towards wisdom. He walks away from the frat house and gets serious about his studies. He abandons his sensual delights and pursues the life of the mind. He contemplates and reasons that life is crazy, so perhaps it's better to be crazy.
Is that you can't beat them, join them type of philosophy thing?
Maybe. If life's a big joke, he'd be the one to laugh the hardest. Then he quickly dismisses like all of that. In these verses, all the way through chapter 6, verse 9, Solomon refers to facts that are observable by all people that confirm the same conclusion that he has come to. He looked at his wisdom, his pleasures, and his wealth in light of the certainty of death. Solomon concludes that the cost of working on this earth to earn temporary possessions costs us more pain and restlessness than it's worth. The certainty of death is a topic Solomon frequently mentions in this book. He couldn't avoid the subject as he looked at life on earth apart from the God, the eternal. Death is an obvious fact of life. 1 out of every 1 person will experience death unless God miraculously intervenes or Jesus returns first. And we know that Jesus is on his way. Solomon concluded that being wise only has temporary and limited advantages over being foolish. There is more to be gained in wisdom than there is in foolishness. Though all humankind will die at some point, wisdom is still of greater value than foolishness. Solomon determines that life is hard, and it is best for him to figure out how to work within hard life. The wise person sees that death is coming and lives accordingly, while the foolish person walks into darkness and is caught unprepared. I think we all know people who have made terrible choices and then wonder why life is against them. Why is life against me? It's like, I don't know. What did you just do 3 months ago? I don't know. I have made, personally, not to condemn anyone else, I'm going to talk about myself. I have made horrible choices, but I know that life is not against me. It's my choices and the consequences. Every choice has a consequence, good or bad. I'm the
Hopefully I wasn't one of those.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm the one, when I make bad choices, I'm the one who is actually living against me. It's not life doing me bad. It's me making bad choices. You can't build up $100,000 worth of parking tickets and then complain and gasp while your car gets booted up and hauled away.
Ow.
That's just consequences of bad choices. You can complain, but it's foolish to complain. What do people think happens when you make these choices?
My uncle would always say, life's hard. It's even harder when you're foolish.
Yeah, that is Solomon's teaching. Your uncle probably read Solomon, maybe. I don't know.
I'll ask him next time I see him.
You should ask him. We are not victims of anything other than our own foolishness when we're in those types of circumstances. There are natural earthly consequences to every single choice we make, both good and bad. There's good consequences and there's bad consequences, and every day is a choice, and every day we make choices. Solomon sees this and determines that he may as well understand what life is about and take the road of wisdom instead of foolishness. Solomon could have ended his sermon here. Wisdom is better than foolishness. Be wise and you'll live in the light. The end.
The end.
But he doesn't.
Nope.
He further observes and realizes that both the foolish and the wise have no enduring or eternal remembrance after death. The day comes when we are forgotten from this temporary world. He says that living in wisdom is better than living as a fool, but in the end, both end up in the dirt. He is still going back to his original question. What is the point of it all? Being prepared for death doesn't relieve Solomon of his burden regarding life, though. It takes a person a long time to learn how to live, and then life on this temporary earth suddenly ends.
Yep.
It all seems pointless to Solomon. Life seemed irrational to Solomon, yet it was still better than death. For the wise, a hope to be remembered is their version of immortality. The truth is, 100 years from now, less than 2 generations away, someone will show an old photo of us and laugh at how we lived in our time, unless Jesus returns first. And they'll be like, what's with those ugly Teslas? Why are they driving garbage trucks away? We still say that today. Actually, we already say that. Or they'll say, like, what's with the Kia Sportage? Not too many of us know the names of our great-great-great-great-grandparents. I don't.
I don't either.
If our goal is to be etched in stone so someone can walk by that statue and say, who was that random person on a horse? It's not going to lead to fulfillment. If our life goal is to be remembered, it is not going to last. That is not a good life goal. If we're trying to get the most views or go viral on social media, that is not going to last. Facebook is already a dying entity, as is Snapchat. Does MySpace still exist anywhere out there? I don't even know.
I'd have to ask Tom.
Does anyone even know what MySpace is? That's Tom, his brother.
No. Tom's the guy that created it.
I thought you were talking about Tom. I was like, why would Tom have MySpace?
You wouldn't.
Anyway, sorry. I don't even know who created MySpace. Over time, these things become irreverent. They're irreverent.
Irrelevant.
Over time, these things become irrelevant. Yet people are so obsessed with these apps and give them so much of their daily time. I'm sure tons of people out there think TikTok, that's the one that's going to last forever, right?
Nope.
Sorry to break the news, but the wise tweets aren't going to get you remembered throughout all of time. It's just not going to happen. No. Solomon is discovering all of these truths, and he's not happy about it. He is not happy with living a life that chases the wind all for nothing. Keep in mind, the eternal had not yet been revealed through Jesus in Solomon's day and time.
Right. Yeah.
Since we do have the revelation of Jesus and eternity today, a Christ follower doesn't hate life, no matter how difficult our circumstances might be. The New Testament scriptures encourage us to love life and put all that we have into getting the most out of life for God's glory and for God's kingdom expansion. A Christ follower knows that we are here for a purpose and a mission, and we are created for such a time as this. We are commissioned to be evangelists in this time and earth, right where God has placed us, using right what He has given us. We may not enjoy everything that happens in this life or be able to explain it all or make sense of any of it, but that's not important. All that matters is Jesus and saving souls for eternity. We live in God's promises, not His explanations, and we know that if we are living purpose-driven for the Lord, our labors are never done in vain.
Yeah.
Solomon moved on to work and wealth. Solomon left the frat house, left the library, and he went to the office. He tries to find meaning in working. Partying and brain games aren't working, so let's try working. He very quickly discovered that work wasn't satisfying either. Everything he earns and gains will be left to some unknown random person after him who will do who knows what with all of it.
Yeah.
Solomon is saying if we try to make work our source and reason for meaning and satisfaction, we're going to end up working all day and stressing all night, and we'll never truly enjoy anything we have. When we die, there's a 50-50 chance that all we worked so hard for will never be enjoyed and will end up in a fool's hands. Solomon gave 3 reasons as to why he was disgusted with work and wealth. He realized that money and material possessions are not eternal. We do not get to keep it when we die.
Yeah.
Money is a way of making exchanges. Unless money is spent, it does nothing for us. We can't eat money, but we can use it to buy food. Money won't keep us warm, but we can use it to buy a blanket that will keep us warm. The Wall Street Journal once published an article stating that money is an article that can be used as a universal passport to everywhere except heaven. It is a universal provider of everything except happiness. We are stewards of wealth and resources that God has given us. God is both the provider and the owner. We have the privilege of enjoying the things in life that He gives and using them for His glory and His kingdom. One day we will stand before the Lord God Almighty and give an account of what we have done with the generous gifts He has given us. Treasures end up stored up in heaven for us when we use God's resources well on this earth according to His will, which Matthew 6 also instructs us. We cannot protect money. If any money we saved up here ends up in the hands of fools, there's nothing we can do about it. If all we do is think about and worry about what will happen to our wealth, we will make ourselves miserable. Solomon seems to be extremely pessimistic at this point in the book, but I assure you he will not stay there. In a step of faith, he actually will move into a third state of his experiment in these next verses, which we'll go into now with verse 24.
So I decided there's nothing better than to enjoy food and drink and to find satisfaction in work. Then I realized that these pleasures are from the hand of God. For who can eat or enjoy anything apart from Him? God gives wisdom, knowledge, and joy to those who please Him. But if a sinner becomes wealthy, God takes the wealth away and gives it to those who please Him. This too is meaningless, like chasing the wind.
Thankfully, there's an oasis of hope at the end of the sea of negativity. Progression apart from God is meaningless. Possessions apart from God are meaningless. After much thought and experience, Solomon gives us the first of 6 conclusions that we are going to see in this book. Each conclusion emphasizes the importance of accepting life as God's gift and enjoying it in God's will. Since we can't expect permanent changes to come out of our work, changes that will continue forever, the best we can do is enjoy the fruits of our labor and find some satisfaction in the work itself. This is the first section of verses of several to follow that Solomon recommends wholehearted pursuit of true enjoyment that actually does last. The pursuit of true lasting enjoyment is only possible in God and with His help. For the person who pleases God, God will give wisdom and knowledge and joy that makes no sense. Solomon encourages us to realize that our lives are happening right now. When we keep thinking things like, as soon as I have kids, or as soon as I graduate, or as soon as I get a different job, or as soon as I get that promotion, when we keep depending on all of the as soon as, thoughts, we aren't truly living in the present and enjoying and appreciating and being grateful for the present of all that God has given us right here and right now in our present
I've
time.
been guilty of that before.
Yeah, I think
Ah,
I
once I
think
get that raise,
yeah,
then I can do this and this. Ah, once I get to this point, then I can do this.
I think we all have, but we have to be intentional about living in the present.
Yeah.
Satisfaction is never going to come as soon as, or if I get just. Satisfaction is available now through Jesus. We need to stop trying to get things to get us what things can't give us. We are alive now. We are present now. We need to be present right where God has placed us. We need to be present with our family and our friends now. This is something that I've had to pay to learn through therapy how to be present in being a professional at disassociation through a lot of past trauma. I've had to actually learn and be taught how to be present in today. And the Bible confirms it throughout the scriptures that it is
Yeah.
important. There's value to be found in being present within the moments that God places us in. We need to put our phones down and talk to the people, real people, right in front of us that God has placed around us. There is joy in life right now, right where we are. God doesn't want us to miss it by focusing on tomorrow's desires that may never come. Too often in our culture, we strategize and plan for the future and miss the moments that God has given us right where He has placed us. We aren't guaranteed tomorrow, but we are guaranteed this moment that we are experiencing right now. In spite of the evil things of this world, including pain and sorrow and hard circumstances and distress, Solomon doesn't recommend either pessimism or cynicism. He encourages us to be realistic in this temporary world and to accept God's many generous gifts and to enjoy them. Solomon doesn't say eat and drink and be merry, for tomorrow we may die. This is fatalism, not faith. Instead, he invites us to trust God and enjoy what we do have rather than complaining about what we don't have. He is saying, thank God for what you have and enjoy it for the glory of God. Life is short and life is difficult, so we need to be intentional about making the most about with what we have while we can. Viktor Franklin said he watched 3 different camps of people emerge from the death camps of the Holocaust. He has said that there were people who were in the death camps that became evil to survive evil. They morally collapsed. They did whatever they had to do to survive. They worked with the Nazis. They sold out their friends and they became hardened. There were others that did not morally break, but they did philosophically break. They tried to find meaning in a thing, and the death camp took that thing away, leaving them with nothing. Their kids were taken away, their spouses were taken away, their jobs were taken away. They took doctors' papers away from them and told them that they were nothing. Now, they gave them a number. They even took away their name. They just gave them a number instead. Their identities were literally taken away and replaced with numbers. There were people that literally just curled up in a ball and died in response. The question Viktor Franklin struggled with was whether or not meaning for life could be found within the death camp that could not be taken away. He said that there was a group of people who didn't deny that they were in the midst of horror, but they had contentment about them, and they somehow even had joy. They had an odd peace in the midst of all this torture and devastation. He even said that in the midst of the worst frustrations of life, they had an anchor to the eternal.
Yeah.
It was an anchor that death couldn't take from them. They knew that there was someone bigger than death and that he was there with them, and they clung to him tightly. The truth is you cannot kill a Christian. They would just transfer them,
Relocate them.
relocate them. Yeah, you just relocate them to a different place. And those people found that truth
Yeah.
and clung to the Lord, and the Lord sustained them. We will never find ultimate meaning in the temporary things of this world, but ultimate meaning can be found in Jesus. The earth has been distorted by sin, but above everything and anything, there is God, and He is good. He gives us glimmers of good to remind us that we are meant for more than all of this. God does give us good gifts that are meant to be enjoyed in this temporary world, but those gifts make horrible gods. When we try to get more and more and more out of the good things that God has given us, we end up spoiling the good things in our life. We end up trying to get more out of the things God intended for our good than they can possibly give us. Solomon made it clear that not only were the blessings from God, but even the enjoyment of the blessings are a gift from God to us.
Yeah.
He considered it even if a person had all the blessings of life from God but couldn't enjoy them. It's easy to see why the Jewish people read Ecclesiastes at the Feast of the Tabernacles. The Feast of the Tabernacles is their greatest time of thanksgiving and rejoicing for God's abundant provision for their needs. A sinner heaps up all kind of riches, but they can never be truly happy and enjoy those riches because they have left God out of their lives. The important thing is that we seek to please the Lord and trust Him to meet every need. God wants to give us wisdom and knowledge and joy. He wants us to appreciate His blessings and take pleasure in them. It's not enough to possess things. We need to also possess the kind of character that enables us to use those things wisely and enjoy them properly according to God's will.
Yeah.
Apart from God, there is no true enjoyment or blessing or enrichment in life. It's good to have things money can buy as long as we don't lose the things that money can't buy. Our final judgment will take place after this temporary life. God's rewards are not temporary. They are eternal. As Christ followers, we can find greater satisfaction in our work than Solomon could because we have the eternal revelation of Jesus. The revelation of Jesus does not invalidate Solomon's views, it actually enriches them. In these opening chapters, Solomon has declared the problem that he is pondering deep within. He presented 4 arguments that seem to prove that life really is not worth living. The monotony of life, the meaninglessness of wisdom, the pointlessness of wealth, and the certainty of death. His arguments are all true if you only consider life under the sun from the human viewpoint. However, when you bring God into the picture, everything changes. Life and death and wisdom and wealth are all in God's hands. He wants us to enjoy His blessings. If we rejoice in the gifts but forget the giver, we are ungrateful idolaters. In the following chapters, Solomon is going to consider each of these 4 arguments, and he's actually going to dispute them. At the end of each argument, he will say, enjoy life and be thankful to God. He will face the trials and injustices of life honestly, all those things that cause us to cry out, why, Lord? Solomon looks at everything from a balanced view of life and death and will help us see it all through God's eternal perspective instead of our shallow human perspective. Life in this broken, sinful world is an utter mess. Theology, therefore, must be lived in the midst of the real messes of life because they are real and true. Solomon gives us just that. It's up to us to live life to the fullest under the direction and lead of God, regardless of circumstances. It's up to us to surrender all to the Lord and be truly and fully satisfied in Him now and throughout eternity. The curse of Genesis 3 that resulted from choosing sin instead of God led to frustration in this temporary world. The good news is the gospel is that Jesus redeemed us from the curse by becoming the curse for us. When we build our sandcastles on the beach, the tide of reality will keep taking the sandcastles away no matter what we try. The truth is that Jesus left the perfect heavens and He entered into our frustrations in this earth. He entered the difficulties of life. He hungered, He sweated, He stunk, He thirsted, and He was rejected. Jesus redeemed us from the curse by becoming a curse for us. He lived the perfect life that we could never live. He dove into death for us. He appeared on the other side and said, follow me. Light came shining in from the other side for us because of Jesus. Above the sun, we can now see the hand of God giving us good gifts, not so that we'll cling to the gifts, but so that we can see the giver and say, now there is one greater than Solomon, and He is here with us every moment of every day. Paul reminds us that if we have surrendered our hearts and lives to Jesus, sure, we're going to grieve here. We're going to have hard times here, but we don't grieve like those without any hope. Jesus sees how much death hurts us. He sees the cost. He sees the frustrations of the curse. He knows all that, and He says, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever surrenders to Jesus will live, even if we die. He tells us that, yes, death is coming. That's the consequence of sin. But Jesus has defeated it all. He punched a hole through death, and now we can go through that tunnel to life with Him. Death no longer has the last word. Jesus does. For those who are in Christ, Jesus' death is not the end. It's only the beginning.
Yep.
Our ultimate satisfaction in life comes in the ultimate one who is not far from us. He is right here with us. He came for us. He will take our work and our love and our relationships, and He will anchor them to Him into eternity. Our lives are filled to the brim with meaning when they are anchored in the one who is beyond the sun, when we are anchored tightly to the sun. His grip is always tighter than our grip on Him, and He wants us to keep pursuing Him and tighten and tighten and tighten our grip on Him more and more each and every day.
With all your guts.
With all your guts. Yes. And that is where we will stop for today. We hope you all are having a glorious day in the Lord.